Hello, everybody. Um, Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. I want, as I've kind of mentioned in my announcement and in the description for this video, I wanted to just kind of pop in, show again that I'm alive, that I have been working on things, and that I do plan to get out of my hiatus soon enough. Um, as you could kind of first thing you should probably be able to see is that I have made this stream overlay. I was pretty proud of this when I made this, to be quite honest. It takes, I mean, the start thing, first things first, you could start off with the background. Let me hide some windows for a quick second here. Hide this. I'll hide. I just need to hide that first. So, actually, no, I could probably disable the borders and stuff too. Chat windows. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, first thing, we have this background. These are all assets I took from, or that I screenshotted, out of Mega Man ZX. I went and played through Area N and, fought Omega again and took some screenshots of, the surrounding area so I could make this kind of cool crystalline, type thing to stare at, as well as have the black hole in the background. Of course, because of the whole chemistry theming of myself, I did have to grab some hexagons and shove it in here. Uh, so, I think this provides a nice little, just provides something else to look at. So it's not just me right on top of the screen, the game screen, or whatever we're doing. I hope that y'all can appreciate, this as much as I do. This took a long time to rip, honestly. I just yeah, this took forever to properly rip out of the game. Not because it was so hard to like actually go in and screenshot, but because when I was actually taking the screenshots to image editing software, anti-aliasing the hexagons in the background was horribly arduous work. There was not very much I want to say the like magic select tool was not super helpful. It kind of got maybe about 50% of the work done, but then it kept getting confused on the border between gray and blue background tiles. So I had to go in and basically just manually select pixel by pixel like what things I wanted to actually keep to make the hexagon background look even somewhat good. So I mean that was the first step. Then the next thing I spent some time doing was to make these the content and chat window that you see here. Um, I stylized these off of the actual like in-game windows, the HUD elements for like your Mega Man ZX. Hence why the X form. Well, I have CI for my initials here, Crash Icarus. Um, I couldn't think of a great chat logo. I mean, I could have just used HU Human from the game, but at the time, I figured maybe I should just keep it more general. Maybe I'll switch that to be YT or something like that, CH, for later. I didn't actually have very many letters made at the time. I basically made the CI on the fly just for this. And only recently did I decide that I actually wanted to make a whole font because I figured, well, that would actually be useful for any kind of announcements type things. You might notice there's a little formula in the background of the chat window, or not a chemical structure for anybody curious, and I'm sure people will ask later. That is sodium pentothal, a quote unquote truth serum that really doesn't actually make people tell the truth. It just makes people talk a lot, makes people yap which I figured is the perfect icon for chat. Um, so yeah. Sorry also that the stream is silent outside of my voice. I did other things I have worked on were like an actual stream background um music playlist, but on attempting to test out this stream, I found that my computer slash internet just could not handle it. And so now we're stuck here, silent in the void, staring at the black hole. Maybe kind of appropriate, but if you are watching this stream, I would highly recommend getting some music because, yeah, I could not get the stream BGM to work. Fact, maybe I should get some text up to, yeah, maybe I should put up some text as kind of a disclaimer for anybody coming on in. That would not be a terrible idea. Let's see, get some. Okay, a bit large. Bear with me. This is the first time using the text tool in OBS for me. It's still all a big learning process. Um, okay, let's see. Oh, if you also you might notice my audio quality is, I would say, significantly better, but could be a little bit marginal depending on who you ask, and what you think of my voice. But I did get a new microphone. I was using a Razer Seiren X little desktop microphone before, which was okay. Um, but at the same time, it was starting to produce some weird popping artifacts, and it didn't have many options for things like noise cancellation. Um, and so it would always be picking up on clicks, typing, what have you. So it was time to get rid of it. I got myself the. I just so happened to be looking for microphones the day after it released, but I dropped. But I got the what is it? The Shure MX7 Plus, something like that. Hold on, I have the manuals right here. Surely the name is listed on one of these things. The MV7 Plus. Yeah, I ended up picking that up. Um, Seems all right so far. I don't have too many comments. It was my first time getting like an actual like boom arm type microphone. Um, it is kind of awkward having it just stare at me in my face, kind of in front of my screen the whole time. But I would say it's a market improvement. There's so many more tools, and I don't have clicks and keyboard tapping constantly being picked up by it anymore. So I'm happy with that. It was a little bit of an expensive purchase, but it was a pretty good one. I don't regret it. But I mean, on to today's content, I have mentioned, I did make a font. That's why is that showing up? I'm glad that's not important anyway. Let me actually get this to correctly. Oh, right, that's not the one that I wanted. That's why. Okay, it's this one. But anyways, as I was kind of talking about, I would, and half of the title of this video, I am making a font. Um, Again, inspired by the whole ZX art style. Started off with just the C and the I, but then I wanted to make more letters, and I'm thankful too because my original C and I were not super great. The I was too thin looking. They didn't really seem like they had the same art style. But now I actually kind of have a consistent, pattern amongst my letters. Um, I'm getting used to having like these I don't know what they're properly called, but these kind of like little lips on all of my letters. I'm starting to form a pattern with them. I'm getting towards the uniform thickness. I'm probably going to have to redo like some of the early letters like the E and the F. They look a little bit sickly and stick like compared to some of the other items. But I do have kind of a consistent way of doing shading to get like a pseudo 3D thing going. I have like two basically a layer of like too thick shadow underneath most of the letters, and for whatever arbitrary amount of height looks correct to me, I make sure to kind of highlight the underside and little bits of the inside too. I try not to use the A is like one of the few exceptions, just because that's just how the A is shaped. But I try to use kind of maybe 2x2 or 3x3 blocks for my design. I don't want to use a 1x1 because that looks too smooth. The idea we're going for here is something that looks slightly retro, and I could have smooth this down to the pixel if I wanted to, but that would just kind of look wrong. So I have basically established an art style to work with. And so far, I'm about halfway through the alphabet. I just made the basic shape of an S. This is Man, that was a pain in the ass to make because I mean, how do you make something so curvy in this without it just looking, um, either perfect? You can't make it look perfectly smooth because then it doesn't work in this art style anymore. But then if you don't make it look smooth enough, then like, if I like say I just moved a sample of it here, like it starts to like the proportions are off even just by 1 or 2 pixel movements. It's pretty bad. I mean, granted, yeah, there's a hole there, but like, even if your brain fills in like the remaining 2 pixels in this space, like something about the proportions on this S don't look right. So it took me a very long time just to get the proportions on this looking, as they should. And so that's why right now it's not even stylized. But hope part of today's stream will be to stylize the S, make it blend in with everything else, and then move on to the rest of the alphabet. I did kind of make the X ahead of time. Oopsie. Did kind of make the X ahead of time because I needed to, make the beautiful thumbnail that you saw today. Um, but otherwise, we're just going in order from A to Z. And then, of course, there's a couple characters I want to make. Excuse me for the yawn. I have to make my exclamation point, question mark. I guess implicitly I'll also end up making a period. I should probably make a comma too. I mean, these are all just letters from some font. I can't remember what it was. Uh, that might actually be kind of a problem. When I want to make it, because now I realize I do need a comma here as well. But we'll get to that when we get there. But right now, I mean, yeah, this has been kind of my one of my main foci. The other things I've been doing include I have been working on making a sound. Am I selected on something? I guess I am. Okay. I have been working on, as I mentioned, the stream background music. Unfortunately, you can't hear it today, but I mean, I've been assembling a handful of things from various video games I play. I gotta try to avoid copyright. That's part of my life now as a content creator. Um, and I think I have a pretty good playlist assembled. Wanted to show it off, but guess that's wasn't in the cards for the day. Aligned? Yeah, that's aligned. Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. What other things have I been up to besides, my job and work? Let's not talk about that. Um, that looks like a little too much shading. I also ended up making a soundboard recently. I used to have some soundboard stuff for my friends. Just me and them hanging out in Discord. Um, a long, long while ago, I was using Resonance, that program. I do not like that program, and so it just caused too many errors. Wasn't actually working as consistently as I wanted it to. So, I mean, recently I decided, well, maybe I should set it up again. Like that seems like the streamer kind of thing to do, but couldn't really get it to work. Instead, now I have Resonance, or not. Instead of Resonance, I now have Voice Meter Banana, which has its own quirks and issues that are frustrating. Like I have to launch. If I ever want to use Voice Meter in Discord, I have to basically launch it in order of first launching Voice Meter, then launching first launching voice or no, first putting my headphones on, then making sure my microphone's plugged in, then launching Voice Meter, and then I can get onto Discord. If I do it in really any other order, it stops working. It doesn't transmit my voice to Discord. I just sit there in silence like a goober while my friends try to say hello, and nothing comes through. But at least when I do get it, at least when I do get it online, it is working and it's clear to troubleshoot usually. That was my biggest problem with Resonance. Like half the time, the buttons just didn't work when you expected them to, and no matter how much fiddling you did with it, there was always something it would complain about. It's never quite consistent in its operation, but at the very least, this voice meter is consistent. It's not the best thing in the world, but it gets the job done for now. Until I feel like actually shelling out money for the professional soundboards, this will do. That's how okay, that's how I shaded the B, so I should shade the R the same. Right. What else? Um, you can't really see it, but I did actually connect Streamlabs finally. So there should be actual notifications for the chat window. If anybody wants to say hello, you would actually see the message pop up on screen now. So we're making baby steps towards professionalism. I didn't expect to actually have hardware issues slash internet issues with just simply uploading or streaming like music. I sincerely thought that was going to be easier just to stream like another browser window. Like I have okay, I don't have like a gaming desktop. I have a gaming laptop. I'm one of those idiots that fell for, the idea of having something slightly more convenient on hand, something portable. I mean, it made sense at the time for me. Like I was just using the laptop personally, obviously. It wasn't for, any kind of streaming use. It was for work and for personal fun, just playing games with my friends. But it seems like that might be starting to push the boundaries what of the resources on the machine now. I'm not too confident that it'll actually be able to keep up here with all the requirements of streaming. Hopefully, I really don't want to have to replace this soon because it's a nice computer. Like I spent a good amount of money on it. It's the I work on the Asus Zephyrus Duo, something like that. The one that has two screens, one being a touch screen embedded into it. I think it's pretty sweet. I mean, a lot of my friends kind of joke about how it's maybe how Crash fell for a gimmick. That's not, really that useful at all. But for me, in my defense, I found it helpful in my previous work. I was a teaching instructor for a little while, and it was kind of necessary to have something on hand that I could have two screens to work with, not for the actual teaching aspect, but for the grading aspect of everything, because it's a giant pain in the ass to grade things on just one monitor when you have to constantly compare between data in an Excel sheet to data in another a window. Students have submitted things, and then also compared to another window where like the answer key is. It was just impractical to not have two screens on the go, and I didn't really have my own office to go to hook up to an actual second monitor. So this was my best bet at the time. I feel like the performance on the computer is still good. Like, I've been playing Helldivers. Well, I was playing Helldivers until the whole PlayStation Network debacle happened. Now I kind of don't feel like playing it anymore. Funny how that works, Sony. Um, but I mean, I was playing on pretty high settings, and like I wasn't noticing performance issues there. I guess it's probably just my internet speed. If I had to guess, I'll have to actually take a look into it. I don't know computers maybe as much as I should have or should for as much time as I spend online, but I'm pretty sure that it's not the performance. I bet that I'm betting that the resources on my machine are actually fine and enough. It's just that it's just that my internet upload speed isn't good enough. I always forget that like how intensive streaming actually is on that aspect of things. I wouldn't expect it to be like. I mean, okay, it makes sense that it requires a fair amount of upload speed, but at the same time, it also just doesn't register in my brain as something to worry about because, like, I play lots of online multiplayer games. Like, I would think that it wouldn't take so goddamn much to um, send some video feed over to YouTube versus sending video feed over Discord versus sending video feed or sending, other computations over the internet to someone's central server, just so that way, you can connect to your game and connect to other people playing. I wouldn't think it would be that crazy to just stream, but here we are. So I might have to actually look into getting better internet or look into some kind of optimization in the meantime. And speaking of whatever we're doing currently, um, I am playing around. The S is still presenting issues as far as, excuse me, as far as stylizing it goes. Because again, we're in that issue of how do we make things look blocky without it looking too disproportionate. Currently, my current idea is I want to have something hanging on the end of this S here, either end of the S, and and have that match, kind of style we're going for with the rest of everything here. That looks okay. Oopsie. That looks okay. Let's see how it looks when I put it on the other side of the S. How much space is in between here? Like 4 pixels. Okay, that's how much 4 looks like. All right. All right, that's the right amount. Okay. How's this look? A little bit too far off to the side. Wait a minute. How's it too far off to the side? Oh, okay. That makes more sense. All right. Is that no? That's still not aligned because that should be directly over this. Wait, huh? What did I do? Why is it not? This is supposed to be perfectly symmetrical, like centrosymmetrical. What's happening? Why is it not? Okay, this one, two, three, four steps. One, two, three. Okay, I didn't move it to the side enough. It's supposed to be over here, right? 1 by 4, 1 by 5. But wait, now we have this jagged overhang. Oh, still one more to the left. There we go. Okay. I'm still kind of trying to get the eye for this. Okay, I mean, that looks more stylized, but that doesn't mean it looks better. Hmm. Looks too thick on either end now. Extra thick. Yeah, we don't like that here. How do I make it okay? Maybe if I just thin things out a little bit, like I add an extra cut here. Well, that's gonna make it look lopsided. I mean, let's see if it also does it this way. 2 by 2, delete this by 3. Okay, I mean that looks better. Like, if we undo, yeah, it definitely looks better. But I'm not sure if it's quite yet in the art style we're going for. Also, I mean the little overhangs aren't very pronounced right now at this point. Like at the very least with this old one, like you could see before we cut stuff out, like there's an exaggeration there. It kind of gives it that flared base, but it doesn't match with the rest of the art style because it almost looks like 70s and that like one of those groove styles that like spirals out too much. But this doesn't work. But then when we do this, you can kind of notice that there's a little bit of a flare at the either end, but it's not really that strong either. Huh. Well, might add on to it. Maybe see if we can get anything else from this. What if I were to, I don't know, do something like this? Add something pointy at either end to it? Or X bar? Hmm. Too horny. It looks almost like this looks more like I'm trying to create like something else for like a succubus art style. That's not quite what we're going for here. Maybe if I turned it red. I've been trying to not overdo it on like the red triangles. Like I made one for the Q because I thought that would be a really good way to make it distinctive and like without breaking the kind of like um even height that all the letters are going for in this and not have anything like go like below this baseline that all the letters are following and aligned to. I thought, okay, maybe if I use the red here to make the tail of the Q more distinctive, it'll make it obvious like what letter this is. And I think that worked. It's just I don't also want to now start overusing it because then, it'll look weird having more than just a couple of letters or symbols. Um, using such an intense red color. I could go back and kind of add that to everything, but that would probably start looking tacky. This looks the triangles that are here, they look elegant. They look natural as if like, oh, okay, I could see this is the accent for this one letter. I can't overuse that. Shouldn't overuse that. But say I wanted to do so for the S, I mean, I very much could. But again, I think like I said, that doesn't look right. I mean, one, it's unbounded, so that's bad. Let's say I even because we need to have a white kind of border on everything. That's the only way this is really going to make much sense. Let's say I even just took color here and did a quick kind of uh, follow the stair step. I mean, that doesn't look terrible, but I feel like I could do better. If I haven't mentioned it already, like I do not I'm not an art person. Like this is one of my first forays into actually trying to do anything artistically interesting. So, this is kind of a bold step forward for me. I have basically no idea what I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing all this by ear and hoping that the letters end up looking nice. I think this is mate. I hate to say it, but that's kind of onto something that looks a little bit better. It helps put it into the art style a little bit more. I think a lot of that. I think it's mostly because it draws attention away from the like center here. You don't want that center to be focused on because that is too. It's very smooth, and this art style is not meant to be smooth. Like I said, it's meant to be a little bit blocky. Hmm. So I think it's good that we have the actual red on the sides, but it's too. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit too close to the border right now. I would want to downsize it if I wanted to keep the red style here. Same time, I don't want to overuse it. Yeah, I don't want to overuse it because then it'll start kind of drawing. I mean, I already use it in the asterisk. I already use it in the Q. I don't want to end up using it all over again in the S because it'll just start to saturate its use a little bit too much. Oops, I already selected things, so okay, that got taken away. Maybe I should make this larger because it already. I mean, just looking at this already looks off balanced. It also not symmetric. Of course, it's not. Move that over one, so ooh, okay. What happened there? Must have moved this incorrectly at some point. Move this back over one. What? Why did that happen? Why did it suddenly make shading artifacts? Wait, why did it rotate? Ooh, not mean to make it rotate. Okay, so we're back to having it aligned like that. Actually, I don't think I like it looking so inwards like that. I think I want to actually move this one out one. The bottom point needs to be moved out a little bit more. Match. Okay. All right, like I said, that draws attention away from the center here. So maybe if I do make the point bigger, let's just outline it once more. All right, that's too thick. The bottom, move this down a little bit. Too much. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe instead of doing that, what we could do is remove some 2x2s down here. That doesn't look right. That's creating like a diamond shape. Nothing else in this art, in this font, has like a diamond shape of any sort. So I would, if anything, I do want to kind of move this inwards. That's too short. Like that, I guess that works with the scaling here. But now it's too fat, too wide. It doesn't make sense to have it this way. Yeah, so undo that extra outline. Maybe I need to do something like this and not completely. All right, well, that looks ridiculous for several reasons. Maybe it needs to be taller. No, that's not what I'm. Hold on. Now I have to. Now I have to do math. I have to make sure to do math. I have to make sure that this actually steps up correctly. So that way it is stepping up in like threes. Okay, no, that's. Well, hold on. That's unfortunately is kind of what I was thinking of. I mean, okay, I basically just remade all roads lead to the triangle shape, the red triangle shape again. Maybe I should just succumb to that. Maybe I should just accept that this is the natural fate. Yeah, because I literally just made it again, but with one less white square. I mean, maybe that. I mean, now it's off center and looks bad. But if I okay, it covers it both ways. But yeah, if I put it like this, and maybe I give this an outline, maybe that'll be actually satisfactory for what I'm trying to work with here. Hmm. It's so that is like that is like really large though. That is like really large for the S. I hate to disappoint, but this is basically just an S making stream at this point. Okay, maybe I need okay, so this is an odd number of tiles. Maybe I should work with having it go to like an actual point instead of like 3 wide like this. No, I've tried that though. If I have it go to like a 1 wide point, that looks ugly because we're not going for anything 1 pixel specific. If I just make this smaller, I don't want to make it that small. Yeah, if it goes to just too thick at the top, only 2 pixels thick at the top, that's going to look odd with the 3 pixel stair step. Okay, so oop, wrong layer. All right. And if I did this and just had a small triangle, it would work better. Erase all this excess stuff. All right. Move it over. Probably need to move it up again. Yeah. No, I'm more or less just going to have to like fix whatever this base is because now okay, I mean just cutting it out. Obviously now the problem is that it draws attention to this kind of giant gap from the body of the letter to the flare, the accent of it. So instead, we're gonna have to move this inward again, but then that kind of has just that 1 pixel gap here again, and that looks bad for this art style. Move it down 1 or 2. Move down 2, that kind of fixes it, but it also creates just a bigger problem of oops. It's a bigger problem of just like look how tall that is. That is a very much of like a sheer cliff in comparison to the rest of the smoothness of this letter. Okay, so I don't think there's an easy solution here. We're gonna have to actually remodel how the tail of the S looks. So move this out of the way first, and we can actually think about this. Move this one out of the way while we're at it too, so we can get a think about how we want to mold things. Okay. Well, problem one is that I already deleted a couple of pixels here when I was first making this draft, so let's add that back in. We got to recreate the same pattern here. So we had 1 and then okay, so 1 thick, step up 1, then 3, step up 2, 3, step up 2, and then it was another 3 step up 2, another 3 step up 2. Okay, so I really messed with things here. Okay. All right, now how do we work this? Okay, that still looks goofy. That's far too thick, but let's move on to triangle first, and then we can see about how to fix it. Okay, well, the border here is too thin around the red triangle now. So that's going to look, that looks off. What else? I kind of, I, I'm conflicted. I really dislike this gap that sits right here. Because now that now that we're introducing the red color, that really makes that gap all the more pronounced. And not only does it draw your eyes away from the center and towards the red, but drawing your eyes towards the red draws your eyes towards that gap as well, and that just doesn't look right because the S should be kind of smooth and contiguous like the actual text examples over there. What if I fill the gap in? Is that going to look bad? Because again, we get that sheer cliff rise again. That's just too much to rise all at once. I don't know. I might need to work on the S in my own time because that is because it's a very complex shape, and I'm frankly getting bored of working on it. So maybe we just need to get a few easy ones out there first. So I'll come back to the S on my own. All right. All right. Just work on an easier letter then. Work on the T. I mean, that'll be pretty simple. I can basically take, let's see, T looks like this in comparison. I can basically just take components from both the I and the F. That'll make things work. Well, maybe not the I. Maybe not. Yeah, I probably should take from the I because I want it to. I need to emphasize that like the T is such a simple shape. I need to emphasize like this thick stalk of a letter. It's all the other most of the other letters like I have not made so thick. Only the ones that really require that emphasis because they're such simple shapes. I have thinner bases like the P. I have a thinner base on here because we have the rest of the loop to accent it. So instead, I will need to, yeah, I need to use the I for the same reason. I think that the T is probably going to need the same kind of boost. So do this, copy it over, make sure it's aligned. Okay. Right. Definitely don't need the extremely large base. You probably just take, yeah, let's just take like one of the bases from probably the M. Yeah, the M is fairly large, but not nearly as large as the I. Copy that over. Get rid of the existing base first. Because we'll have the very large flared top of the T to balance this out. I'm thinking I could keep it if I kept it this thin. If I kept the top this thin, like the 4 pixels thick, That would stay in line with the art style of things like the F, but I am also thinking of making the F thicker later because it no longer really is reflected quite so much in all the other letters. The other letters are really around like 6 thick on average now. So perhaps I should do the same. I mean, the eye can stay like that thin. It's fine. We don't want the attention being drawn towards the top and bottom of the eye. Hey, Ornamental, what's up? Thanks for joining. Um, hmm. Yeah, so I think I should keep it a little bit thicker towards the top here. Yeah, let's make it. Yeah, because for the T, we do want the attention to be drawn towards the top, so we do want it to be a little bit thicker. So let's take bits of the P here. Yeah, thanks for joining the stream. Currently, I'm working on just making a font for future applications. You know, future streaming applications in case I want to make notifications, announcements, anything like that. Currently working on some of the letters. I just kind of quit working on the S right for right now because it's just too complicated of a shape, and I'm a little sick of talking about it. We've moved on to the T instead, and we're working on how to troubleshoot that out. Should be a much simpler shape because there's a lot fewer curves. Hmm, How wide is the T in a regular font compared to some of the other letters? Okay, 36 wide compared to, let's say, the R. Wow, the R is a poor one. That one, R is a poor comparison. There's too much variance from the top and the bottom in this random font. 36 versus 43. Okay, versus something like 44. Okay, so the T shouldn't be too wide at the top compared to my other letters. So like, okay, that's 59 total. That's like way too large compared to something like this, which is only 55. Yeah, so I should probably cut that down to what's the math ratio on that? 44 to what was this again? 36. Let's bring out the calculator. How are you doing today? Out in chat? Okay, so it's a 1.2 ratio. So this would be, let's see, 55 divided by 1.2-ish. 45, so I should make that like 45 wide on top. All right, I could do that. Let's see. It should only be about this wide, so we can cut the rest of this off. Cut off 2 more rows. They could hop in and say hi. Well, I appreciate it. It's always nice to have someone in the audience. A good change of pace. 12 and 14. Move this over 1. All right. I have been honestly itching to work on this font all week. I've been trying not to just so that way I could have, the content for stream. It is genuinely comforting to work on. I do just wish that I actually had some music going on, but I was kind of lamenting earlier that I found out my computer slash internet was really shitting the bed when I was also trying to stream music through it. I guess my upload speed is not as robust as I thought it was. I always figure that like just because I can stream, games over Discord or like just connect to multiplayer servers in general that like it wouldn't be so difficult to stream, but I guess that's my preconceived notions about the internet being, completely off, completely off from reality. Okay, now we need to cap off the T. What would be a good way to do that? Probably the same way I've capped off the E's up here, especially the computer. Yeah, I mean the computer is nice. I mean, it's not a desktop, but it is, a pretty good gaming laptop. And again, I guess it is lagging when I'm bringing up the bar now, so maybe it shows what I know. Lovely toaster of a machine. I mean, I wouldn't say that I have the Opto Toast 4000, but like I have something better than the base model. Yeah, the base model of toaster. Unfortunately, I guess that's not as good as required to actually turn this into a hobby. Or maybe it is, and I just need better internet. I don't know. I actually have to look at it, talk to people who know what they're talking about for computing purposes. Okay. This does not look like it hangs down enough to me, so let's accentuate a little bit more. Huh. Okay. That T looks both like it is in art style, but there looks like there's also something wrong with it. I'm not quite sure what. Hmm. If you have any opinion on what makes the T look a little bit off, I would appreciate that. Because to me, something doesn't look quite right about it. Like maybe it's that these curves are too, I guess, too deep for what they're going for. Like maybe what am I trying to say? Like they should be shallower rather than as deep as they go. But if I make it shallower, it's going to kind of like say I did this. I don't know. That looks. I actually kind of like the way that looks a little. No, that does look a little bit better. Maybe the issue is that it looks like it almost starts to look like T for Toro since it's got those bull's horns. The dangly bits on the other side are a little bit too much. Like maybe I should cut them down. Hmm. Nah, I think I agree. Actually, yeah, that would probably look a lot better if I just made these solid blocks instead of curved ones. I did this and then maybe filled this in a little bit. Give it a curve, but not too much. All right, and if I actually balanced this, did I make this even? I think I didn't make this even. No, that's even. Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I think I see. I maybe there just shouldn't. I don't think this curve actually just should be there in the first place. So if we fill this in, we're probably gonna have to thin out this thin out this upper section now because okay, 9 pixels thick is getting a little bit chunky. It's starting to look closer to the really big letters like HK, all those. But well, actually, hold on. What's the thickness of the P? 6. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to cut that down. But yeah, I agree. That actually looks a lot better. Not having those scoops in there at all. It should be a chunky art style. Okay. So what if we just remove 2 pixels? That looks. Oh man, that looks like deceptively simple, but that also does kind of completely work with what the rest of is going on here. Maybe I should add because I do have at all of these turns, like I do have like a little 2x3 block or a 3x3 block, kind of make the turn from all the curvy letters to one of the straightest. You're so right. This one looks completely off in comparison to the last 5 letters. Maybe if I actually that's actually a really good point. I'm gonna work on this closer to the straighter letters. They'll probably start looking a little bit more reasonable at that point. Okay. And make it look more like this, like say like the L here. We still have that is this 3x3? Yeah, 3x3 rectangle kind of indicating the turn. I still think I need to keep that in some capacity. Yeah, I think I still need to keep that in some way because that's kind of what I've established so far in all the letters, either a 2x2 or a 3x3 kind of square. So let's just start off with a 2x2 square. Okay, that looks fine, but still a little bit too much compared, or not enough to kind of warrant with the dangly bits on the sides. That's starting to come back together again, but it's also starting to. Hmm. Yeah, trying it just on the inside bits. Yeah. Hmm. Trying to think here. How did I get the F to look like this? Because the F, normally we don't really need the little dangly bits on the left and right, the left sides, but it needed to balance out what's going on here. The T, I feel like now it's like now the problem is I feel like the T is maybe too blocky on these overhangs. Like there's a really strong temptation to like start re-deleting some of these parts. Maybe if I just thin it down, that might be the answer. Huh. That kind of looks better. Hmm. But now it like doesn't look quite right compared to the actual like maybe okay, maybe if I just like thinned out the top a little bit, we'll have to resize things, but like what if I thinned out top here? It no, okay, now it looks way too thin compared to the actual main trunk of the T. Maybe I just need to move this to maybe I need to make the T wider. Just a little bit. We'll try moving these out 1 pixel each. Fill that in. Does that look a lot better? That kind of does. That surprisingly looks a lot better. Just that one additional pixel on each side. It still looks like it caps off like way too easily. Like I feel like there maybe should be some kind of, little block dangling off again. Hmm. But yeah, no, that really does kind of reduce like the T shape of it quite a bit. What if I actually made the block on the other sides? Make it face inward. Well, now it just kind of looks like a magistrate's wig. I don't think it looks wrong with the style here, but it does look a. No, I think maybe it does look kind of wrong with the style still. And I thought the T was going to be simpler than the S. Maybe I just need to actually make this like curve a little bit better. It sounds weird to say and looks weird in practice. Don't like that. Block on the other corner. Could be. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that looks better. It still kind of looks like there's scoops coming out of it, but it doesn't look nearly as bad as it was before. Maybe because now, maybe it's more that like I don't think this design changed from the last like 10 tries ago, but now that we've seen the 10 tries in between, this one maybe doesn't look so bad. Maybe if I made these overhangs like bigger. Let's see. Yeah, I think ironically, the larger I make, I mean, there's going to be a limit, of course, but the larger that I make these overhangs, the less it looks like that these are circular scoops on the inside and more looks like just, stylized turning. If I get rid of those, I think like that's basically hitting the limit of how far I can make those overhangs because now this area, these little corner areas are looking a little bit too thick. But it does like I mentioned, it does kind of draw attention away from the idea that that's like circular scoops out of the top, and that is necessary. Think okay, so this edit was just making it 2 pixels. Yeah, let's just add one more layer and we'll just call that a happy medium. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like the way that that looks. I think I like that. Should I make the base more pronounced? Like the eye. I edited it to be away from the eye space at first, but maybe I need something like that to again because again, it's such a simple shape, it looks a little bit off, not having more accent elsewhere. Change that sampling to nearest neighbor. There we go. Aliasing. Thought that was aligned. Why did it? Oh, okay. Uh, hmm. I actually might like that a little bit more than the shorter base I was going for previously. Turn that invisible. Yeah, no, I do actually need that. Huh. I didn't think I would want to balance out the bottom that way because I wanted to draw attention to the top of the T, but that kind of works having a larger base for the T. Guess I shouldn't be surprised the same way in like a real font. I don't know. Which do you think looks better? Having the very large base for the T or having the smaller base for the T? Maybe something in between. I think having it kind of be in between actually looks the best. Maybe I'll keep it like this. Time is it? 111. All right. Keep going for a little bit longer. Yeah, mid one. For once, we want mid. We want to keep mid here. We don't take W's. We don't take L's. I guess we take T's? All right. Yeah. All right. We'll take that. Put this down here. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's satisfactory for now. Thank you so much for your help, Ornamental. I mean that. I would have been scratching my head here for a long time figuring this out. All right. Now we can do the fun, easy formulaic part, which is the shading. Oops, I need to actually load back the proper shading color, not the specialized red shading color. Okay. All right, how did I shade the eye? Okay, I didn't do that. I could just come back and actually grab the same shading from here. Drag it over. Probably have to delete a little bit. Or, well, change a little bit because now we've changed kind of how blocky it looks. Shift this over one. Right, and get the shading. Um, yeah, I was oh yeah, to return to something I actually commented slash posted a while ago. I was hoping to probably start streaming again in earnest, starting in June. Um, May is not really the best month for me to do such a thing, just because I mean my work is busiest during May. But not only that, I do have like a little bit of a conference I'm going to, or a business trip that I'm going on this month. And so it wouldn't be the best to try to start streaming and then all of a sudden have to take a week off randomly for that. So hopefully I can start back up in June. Though honestly, with the internet discovery, the inability to, you know, stream all this data, might just have to actually push that back further until I can upgrade my internet a little bit slash figure out what's wrong with my stream. But I really would like to get back into things. I've been kind of feeling the creative itch and surprisingly have been receptive to doing all this art stuff. So I don't know. I would like to get back into things. I was thinking maybe a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday kind of schedule. Have these afternoon Sunday streams for an hour or two doing some kind of art, playing some games Monday, Tuesday. Then, maybe making a cycle out of that. But we'll see how quickly I can solve my issues, my OBS issues. Yeah, it would be Sunday afternoon, and then like Monday, Tuesday night, probably 8:30 ish Eastern time for about 2 hours. I think that's doable. It also helps. Like I really want to start the streaming regularly because I have a lot of games in my backlog that I want to start getting through, but I've been pushing things to the backlog because I have not I wanted to save them for streaming slash motivate myself to do the creative things like this instead of just sitting here rotting playing all the games that I want. I need to actually have some motivation to get out here because otherwise I would probably just say, oh yeah, I'll do the letters next week. But now it's like, well, I have not many things to do with my time if I'm not playing like Disco Elysium. Um, you know, if I'm not playing Disco Elysium to occupy my Monday, Tuesday nights, I guess I might as well draw. Ace, we can see if I can get a computer before you fix your internet. Please don't take that. I'll lose. Yeah, maybe for your sake, I shouldn't take that bet. It would simply be cruel. I'll show some mercy. Ira team made me play Undertale Yellow recently. I did the pacifist route for him, so yeah, I guess I understand the concept of mercy a little bit better now. Backlog is also disgustingly large. Oh, my backlog is not nearly as yeah, it's not nearly as large as yours, I know, but now it's like I'm forcing things into the backlog. It's like random it's like random government bureaucracy. I'm forcing things to hold on until it would be politically convenient for me to do so. I guess in this case, instead of politics, it's just socially convenient, streaming convenience. This analogy is getting muddy. I should stop. Okay, now time for the U shape. Instead of remaking another curve, what which letter can I butcher this time? To start off from. Which letter looks the most similar to a U? O's and Q's are a little bit too rounded at the bottom. I could kind of, I mean, if I widen, like, say, a P or something like that, that would probably work. Xenoblade like 2 weeks ago, and I'm halfway through Legends of Arceus now. Ooh, Legends of Arceus. That's Man, I wish I actually. There's so many games I should buy a Switch for, but just have not done so. Just because, like, I don't know. I have the reasonable idea of my backlog is already reasonably large. Let's not make it any bigger. And if I got a Switch, my backlog would only be getting even larger. Um, like I really wanted to play like Metroid Dread and Pikmin 4. And then also to that list, Legends of Arceus sounded like really cool. You know, I haven't been into Pokemon for many, many years. I just kind of dropped out around Gen 5. I'm not a huge fan of JRPG stuff, even as simplified as Pokemon gets. Um, ooh, the P is uneven. I can't unsee that now. Um, But Legends of Arceus did actually look like something I would have actually wanted to try, kind of having that free roam, difference from the main series and the real time aspect to it. So you'll definitely have to tell me how that is, because I would be super interested in actually hearing how worth it, it is to actually grab. Especially for how worth it is to grab, maybe adjusted for the perspective of a non-typical Pokemon player. That looks better. Needed to fix that. That would drive me crazy. Well, that's also going to drive me nuts. All right, need to move that up too. Somehow I messed up the R and the P's smooth curve along the way. I don't know how I did that. Go. Now it's symmetrical. Now it works. Okay. Back to the U. Um, yeah, if I could just reuse the curve of the P, that will probably be fine. Just widen it out a little bit more. Wrong layer. Go. 90 degrees. Surprised there's no aliasing. For some reason, it's really liked to do that lately. Let's see. Yeah, something like that could be a good starting point. Definitely too thick of a curve down here. We're gonna have to cut that down, but that's probably a good starting point. How wide should the U be? U is 45 wide. T is like 36 wide. E is also like 44 wide here, so I guess it should be as thick as my G. 55 wide. How wide did I just make this? It's probably like 60. 70. Oh God. All right. Cut that down. Next time we're in a call. All right. Looking forward to it. Ooh, the idea just occurred to me. If we wanted to play the quiet ear, I mean, this might be a bit too contrived for it to actually work. But like, what if it was like making the lore of where Pokemon came from, and all of a sudden people discovered Pokemon? How did that happen? How were they domesticated? We don't need to get into the freaky lore of Gen 4 Sinnoh, where everybody was starting to marry Pokemon. Or maybe we will. I don't know. We're nasty. A child bearing you. Speaking of being freaky, uh, okay. How thick do I want this to be? Probably only about that 9 thickness towards the bottom. Like an ore. Wait, really? Did that word pop up in Colosseum or Gale of Darkness? Where did it pop up first? I only deleted one too many there. Or did I? 4 by 2, 5 by 2. Oh, it just didn't stretch out to be the same. Okay. Annoying. Technically, no, but there is a lady that jokes about a Mighty Ina being her boyfriend. Okay. I'm sure she was joking about that. The Apocalypse, both Colo and the sequel. I played Coliseum like a long time ago, but I mean that's been so long. I don't remember all the lore to that. Plus, admittedly, Coliseum was not the greatest game. It could have been better. Luciana and the sequel, so they ran with it. Oh boy, it all grew up. Yeah. The one thing I really did like about playing Coliseum was that it kind of made you use Pokemon that were just like not typical for a playthrough slash not typically good for a playthrough. Like I really enjoyed in Coliseum using that one like trade plusle that was in the game. It was surprisingly good. I mean, I think a lot of that just had to do with the fact that that plusle had just a bonkers EXP curve, plus with the like kind of traded experience bonus. Like that motherfucker got to like level 72 by the end of my playthrough, while everybody else was still in the 60s. Like that plusle kicked ass for some reason. And then, but in the actual Pokemon games, Plusle is just bad, objectively a horrid Pokemon that has nothing going for it. But in Coliseum, for some reason, it's like goaded. I don't. It was very fun that they actually managed to make stuff like that work in Coliseum. The only thing that was really limiting Coliseum in my mind is just that, like, I mean, Ironically, yes, a little bit of the Pokemon selection, but also like Coliseum did get really repetitive pretty quickly. And oh, and actually no, the worst part about Coliseum was just how long it took into the game to be able to purify your Pokemon, be able to get rid of the shadow bullshit on them. Like that took so goddamn late into the game to do. Why it's just like was it Explorers of Sky Mystery Dungeon where like actually you have to get done with the whole game before you can start getting evolving your Pokemon. In the same way in Coliseum, it's like you have to get through like 60% of the game just to be able to start purifying your Pokemon. And it because it takes so long to get, to unlock their heart in that game, it's like you're usually setting you have to kind of pick your team members accordingly before that. You don't have the freedom to kind of like just say, "Oh, well, Quilava is not working out for me, so I guess I'll switch to someone else." You don't have the freedom to just kind of pick and choose like that because it takes so much time to actually, get one Pokemon to be able to be purified. It's not worth it to switch off to a different one because you're like, well, I'm not going to be able to by the time I'm ready to actually get to that point in the game, and I don't know where any of the colognes that are allegedly in the game are that make Pokemon happier. So like, no, it didn't work. The timing of all that didn't work. I guess summarize, it's the pseudo exp curve of the shadow Pokemon was just wrong in that game for me. I heard XE Gale of Darkness was a lot better though. A lot of people seem to love that game. As I think part of that is definitely that like XE Gale of Darkness also had just more variety towards like the shadow moves too. They thought about it a little bit better instead of it just everybody has Shadow Rush and you're stuck with it. Like you just had different things to use, so it kind of felt like your shadow Pokemon were a little bit more individualized. Big stick with your party guy, so it never really hit me. Granted, that was also back when I'd super level my starters and not play anything else. I was never really into like super leveling my starters, but like I also definitely am a big stick with your party guy. Like nowadays, when if I were to ever play a Pokemon randomizer or something like that, like yes, absolutely, I already plan out my okay, well not in a randomizer, but if I were to actually just play a regular game of Pokemon, I would be like, yes, absolutely, I'm going to figure out my team ahead of time, make sure it's balanced, has all the move sets that I want. Um, and definitely just plan ahead for that. But when you're first experiencing a Pokemon game, it's like when I was experiencing Gen 5 for the first time. And that was all new Pokemon, and I didn't really have well, I mean, I did have unlimited access to the internet, but I didn't want to spoil myself on it. Like, I was able to just kind of play around with the Pokemon there, find a team that actually worked, find Pokemon that didn't work for me, and, strike a happy balance. Um, I miss having that experimentation factor in Coliseum because like that would have been also the perfect game for it. You have to experiment with weird shit in that game anyways. You have to like I mentioned, you have to somehow make Plusle work when that's one of your few electric type options, and that was fun. But then to not be able to switch out so easily kind of, works against the mechanics of or the intended idea of shadow Pokemon. And that kind of, rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Didn't completely ruin the game, but it did definitely kind of, make it feel a little bit too constrained for its own good. All right. Actually almost done with the U here. Well, at least the basic form of the U. Okay, 1 pixel too high still. Eevee and the evolutions are your fave. Eh, fair enough. I mean, yeah, having I mean, those are I mean, those are two of the most solid Pokemon you could start with being, Umbreon and Espeon. Like, definitely of the evolutions for their time, like, it totally makes sense. Um, that, like, those two would be the best because like, Gen 3, like, Flareon had nothing to offer. Um, but, actually having some of those, having probably the 2 best ones to start off with, it was definitely a good choice. You're not gonna probably get rid of those. So it was cool to, like, just run around with them. I definitely like the idea of not having just your typical starters. Like, always having to start with grass, water, fire kinda bothered me in every Pokemon game. Um, yeah. So it was nice to have a change of pace. Espeon and shoved Legends in as my umbrella. Not sure what you mean by your umbrella comment there. Did you, like, get to bring Espeon? Where does an umbrella factor into this? Terrible at the level curve in that game is atrocious, so I never beat the final boss. Hmm. In Legends or in Brion Auto? Oh, yeah, okay, makes sense. I mean, nowadays you could definitely have an umbrella Pokemon. I'm sup- it, surely the one exists at this point, right? I know I've dropped off the face of the earth after Gen 5, but like surely an umbrella Pokemon exists by this point. They made fucking keys, so like they definitely have to have made an umbrella. In Coliseum. Yeah. Yeah, Coliseum did have a lot of grinding to it. But I mean, yeah, if you had if you had your top percentage plusle like I did, then like the game, started playing itself at a certain point. And then you ran into like a ground type and you were like, well, fuck. um no, I definitely want to keep that there. That looks okay for you. Hmm. The hardest part about making every one of these letters is making a curve that looks just right for the letter. You looks. I feel like the curve is maybe a little bit too extreme. Maybe I should settle it down a little bit. Is that uneven? Um, let's check. Okay, that's even there, even there, even there, even, even. No, these are all even internally at least. Externally, let's see. I'm pretty sure I copied the one side to the other, so they're even. I'm just something in my brain is just telling me like this does not look like a regular U. Like I mean, definitely the font that I was referencing that it obviously has it thicker on one side. Or maybe you were asking about this being uneven. I mean, it's definitely uneven in the irregular font. Um, purposefully. I could maybe use that. At the same time, I also think that looks a little bit ugly and like definitely does not work. I haven't been following that for any of the rest of the letters. Like the M is also uneven, and I haven't been using that. I didn't do that in my M, so I don't want to start making the letters thickness uneven on left to right now. but at the same time, this U is looking a little bit more like a horseshoe than it is like a an actual U. So hold on, let's move this down again too, so it adjusts for the correction I just made. Oh, that's getting there. Yeah, I think if I just let me just keep making the curve a little bit less strong. It'll probably start to look better. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3. Let's make another, and then hold on. Get 1 pixel, 2 pixel, 3 pixel, 4, something bananas, and very many more. If we just turn this down, so that way it's 1, 2, 4, and then that's another 5. Oh wow, that really does ramp up quickly. Okay, let's make two twos happen in a row, and then we can keep the rest of the ramp up. So move this down 1, move this down 1, and move this down 1. Okay, move these blocks back down as well. Keep it matching. That actually looks pretty good on its own, but let's just stick with the idea for now. Come back to it. Okay, fill the rest of this in. Looks okay. Hold on. Let's go back to that intermediate idea. I kind of liked how this looked, even if it is a jump from 5 to 3. 5 or 3 up to then 5 up. Oh, that doesn't look good though. Hold on. I kind of okay, I see what I kind of did to myself here. I like kind of the position of this, but then this it's like looking from afar. I think I like the proportions of that. But now to fill in the gaps, I would then have to this is now going to jut out strangely if I do. I don't wanna have just this one kinda line sticking out like that. See, fill this in. Oh, well, no, hold on. Does that look okay? I think that looks okay. Yeah, that's looking more like a U to me. I think maybe if I just cut a little bit out of it. No, I don't wanna cut too much because I need to kinda keep the 2 block movement in. I think that looks good. Maybe I do wanna cut this into this a little bit and then accentuate the smoothness into the rest of the curve. No, that something about how thin this is bothering my eyes. Yeah, because you can really see how like that doesn't jive with the rest of the curve. It kind of is too thick at that part. It's still, I mean, it's still too thick without removing those extra 2 pixels there. I mean, I could leave it like that, but then it kind of gets into this obvious, like, well, it's jagged at the bottom here, but then not jagged up here anymore. I mean, well, if I just got rid of this whole thing. Oh, hmm, that surprisingly looks okay. I was expecting that to look worse if I got rid of those last 2 overhangs, or, like, just completely got rid of, this area. I was totally expecting that to look worse, but That actually looks fine. That actually looks better. Okay, sure, whatever. If the eye says it's correct, then the eye says it's correct. Though maybe it does look a little thin. It definitely looks. I mean, it looks fine as far as thickness goes. Like it definitely. It's like in line with the F and the E, but it's maybe a little bit too thin for the rest of the letters. That's only 8 wide. Usually these are like 9. Or yeah, these are kind of careening towards like 9 wide if they're vertical, 6-ish if they're horizontal, or the other way around. Yeah, 6-ish if they're horizontal, 9-ish if they're horizontal, 6-ish if they're vertical. So maybe I should make that just a bit thicker. Yeah. All right. Time to mess with a good thing and make it worse. Maybe not. Or maybe not. What if I revert to having those overhangs again? Then it'll probably look a little bit better. If I cut, yeah, if I make the top, if I wanted to make the stalks wider, it'll probably look a little bit better if I only delete part of that overhang. And then widen this by 1. Oh, that's rotating it. Widening it by 1. Widen this by 1. There we go. That looks a lot more comfortable. It's crazy just what 1 pixel changes. I would not have believed just like actually changing 1 row of pixels actually makes that big of a difference, but like that actually looks, at least the stock parts look a lot more in line with the rest of the art style now. Maybe I need to thicken up the inner curve part now because that's looking a little bit thin. Though it is not so bad. Let me just add maybe a quick just outline of 1 to each of the inner pieces. Yep, I like the way that looks. All right, cool. I'm happy enough with that being my U. How long have I been going for? I'm getting a little bit tired of talking. I can go for a little longer. Whoa, hey, what did I just do there? That actually, that that accidental drag looks so much nicer. Holy shit. Ironically, that makes it look thinner, but that accidental compression of ratio looks so much better. That looks way more like a U. Oh, we're definitely gonna keep that. Um, Now I just need to make it look even. I guess it's like what Bob Ross says. There are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. I just got to make it look correct and even. Let's see. This is 3 by 3, 3 by 4. Okay. Um. Actually, what am I even doing? If I just copy the right side, that'll look perfect. This is how wide? Is this an even? Is this an even number of pixels wide or an odd number of pixels wide? 67. 67 by 67. Damn. All right. I did not think that the U would look like would be perfect in like a square bounding box. Okay. 33 by 67. We'll just skip over the one in the center. Make this 30. Nope. Forgetting the controls of my program. 33. Great. Move it over one. And there you go. That looks perfect now. Wow. Okay. I'll take it. Good accident. Good accident. Maybe I'll extend this at this part of the curve at the bottom by one. That makes it look a little bit smoother. Yeah. Okay. Great. I can shade it in. Well, it is the correct height, correct? 67 compared to also 67. Okay. Looks good. And another letter down. I was curious for some feedback. What do you think of the stream background? Does it look good to you? Like, does it seem like it fits the theme of my character at the very least for right now? That from a Mega Man game, it looks familiar. Why, it certainly is. This background is ripped. If I can, let me see. I'll just close this for a second. The background is ripped straight out of Mega Man ZX. Actually, I had to go fight Omega and take screenshots of the battlefield afterwards and like crop out our character's position so that way I could get all the green floor tiles. And then I also had to go and I had to screenshot the. I'd also crop out the black hole background from that fight as well. And then from some of the like Mega Man 0304 like bonus refights, if you had like the cartridge inserted into it, I also screenshotted like the hexagon patterns from I think it was like Death Tan's Mantis's fight or whatever, the Mantis boss, and slapped those hexagons in the back there as well. It took an excruciatingly long time to like get rid of all of the background tile from that because the magic select tool I was using in Paint did not very effectively distinguish between like the blue parts of the background and the the blue parts of the background and the gray parts of the hexagons. But it was very much worth it in the end, I think. I also and prepare for maybe some stream lag, some very bad audio lag for a second, but I did have this blue hexagon pattern that I took from a YouTube video, but in my testing today, it seemed like maybe the stream cannot handle it having an MP4 playing in the background. So I had to turn it off for today. I will maybe see if I can't get around that some other way. Maybe if I just lower the bit rate. Yeah, quite a bit of lag. So definitely have to turn that down or turn that off. I don't know. Maybe I can just lower the bit rate and or get better internet. I really wasn't expecting that to be a load-bearing MP4, but here we are, I guess. Let me know if the stream just doesn't recover for some reason once it gets turned off. Or vice versa. Let me know if the stream does recover once it is turned off. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can't fathom how it's one simple small looping MP4. Like it's less than 10 seconds long, yet, putting it into OBS and then having like I don't know, I guess there is a little bit of like post-processing effects I'm making it go like so it scrolls and like I had to crop it a little bit so it like evenly feeds back into itself, but it's what MP4. It should not destroy the stream. Like I've successfully streamed Baldur's Gate before on like high settings while streaming. Like that was the first thing I ever tested out and streamed on this channel. Yet of all things, if a fucking MP4 makes OBS just die, I don't get it. All right. Onto a V. The V is going to be like the easiest shape. It's just copy the A, invert it, and that's basically it. I can't imagine that the V is going to look that bad. Move the X out of the way though. Take the V and let's just get rid of this crap in the middle here. My letters are off. In what sense? They're lined up that way. I will say the V off stream. Oh my god. Good catch. I forgot that I had to turn that off for a second. Thank you for the reminder. Very, very new streamer. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think that looks fine. I mean, that does look fine as a V on its own. I don't know if it necessarily looks in style when compared to the U, but I mean, it looks fine compared to the A, and might just be something to touch up later. As I mentioned, like the first 6 letters were a good start, but they definitely drifted off. The style has definitely drifted as I've moved on to the other letters to make them a little bit chunkier. So I'll come back to the V separately at some point. And for that reason, I'll probably skip the shading right now. Oh, the W. Okay. I mean, could easily just smack two V's together, but am getting maybe the feeling that if I want to rework the V, probably don't want to make the W the exact same thing. Yeah, you know what? That might actually be a good place to call it. That'll require a fair bit of creativity that I'm maybe a little bit tapped out of. So, I mean, hey, thank you for joining me today. I hopefully plan to be back next week to, do a little bit more. I'll probably brush up some of this font stuff off stream in the week between, but certainly there will be more to work on by the time I get back. So, thank you for joining me today. And I hope to return to stream regularly. As much as it's kind of taxing my voice, as a little bit awkward as it can be, it's very fun when I have at least one person, maybe some more in the future to bounce off of. So I thank you for joining me, and I'll sign off for the night or the afternoon. I have dinner to cook. So have a nice day, Ornamental, and to anybody else watching a future VOD. Bye bye.